Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is Wednesday, March the 20th, 2024. At least you're listening to it on March the 20th. We're recording on March the 19th. Keep that in mind moving forward. We will do our best not to confuse you with today's, tomorrows, and yesterdays. We've got a fantastic show. We've got a lot of recruiting stuff to talk about. We touched on it a little bit Sunday night in the call-in show, but we want to go a lot more in depth. We're going to get to several questions from the corners. We're going to dish out several how about yous, and here to do it all with me, Mr. Cole Pinkston, Mr. Alan Head. How about you, fellas?
How about you?
How about you, Jeffrey Lee?
How about you, fellas, man? Finally, dead period is over with. Spring break's over with. Recruits are coming in, flocking to Auburn. They have in the past few days. We're going to get to all that news. We're going to get to some questions, like I said earlier. But first, if you're in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, and you're looking to move, you're looking to find another home, sell your home, look no further for the help you need. It's Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. She is a 5-star realtor. And if you don't believe me, you can ask me. You can ask Alan, because he'll tell you. Or you can check, I think, the reviews on Zillow. She's a consensus 5-star, folks. I'm telling you, she's fantastic. I see her working every day, every night, weekends, doing it all. Seriously, give her a call. You will not be disappointed. If you are, tell me about it, and I'll call you a liar. Straight up, just right to your face. Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. Tell her we sent you. All right, fellas. Big weekend for Auburn.
Yes.
At least 30 elite high priority targets visited Auburn on Saturday. Juju Lewis was there on Friday. He woke up in Auburn Saturday, kind of dilly-dallied, and then took off. He had to go back. And then I think he was back in town Tuesday. Didn't really meet much with the coaches, but he was in town. Might have met with OTV. I'm not sure about that. Haven't confirmed that. But I think the more important, more realistic option for Auburn will be this weekend when Hussein Longstreet comes into town from California. We'll get to some potential visitors for the weekend later. But Cole, let's rehash. Alan, you as well. Saturday's big visits, the big names coming out of there, the big news coming out of there. Cole, what were a couple of takeaways where you went,
I'd say probably edge recruiting is
okay.
Zion Grady. I continue to hear good things about Zion Grady. I'm telling you, I've heard things about Zion Grady that I didn't believe. As far as how much he's considering Auburn. I've heard that from one source on Saturday. I've now heard it from a separate source that has nothing to do with that first source. So I am, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think because I'll be honest. You can go back through my post history. I said I'm not feeling Auburn for Zion Grady.
I think we said that here.
I think we've said that privately. You know what I mean? We're not saying anything on the show that we haven't all talked to each other behind the scenes on.
Well, I think it stems from he is buddies with Eric Winters. He's also buddies with Alvin Henderson, I found out. And Alvin Henderson, you know what? I will be very proud of that prediction if it hits because that one was made in June of 2023 for me.
Yikes.
I am and I still feel good about it, guys. I feel good about Alvin Henderson landing with Auburn. And I know that he and Zion Grady are close. And we've talked about this before. There has to be a domino that falls. And I think Tavares Dice was a momentum grabber. Now, who's a domino that gets others to fall? I think it's Alvin.
Especially in state.
I think it's Alvin. And then, guess what? Zion Grady's teammates with Eric Winters. I think Auburn's in good shape with Eric Winters.
Another friend in that group is Malik Autry.
Andrew Purcell's another guy who goes to Enterprise, and I'd watch him. I think you need to watch him. But no, I think edge recruiting and Jared Smith. I'd add Jared Smith into that. That's a guy that I know that, we learned Josh Aldridge loves this guy. Of course, he's one of the top guys in the country. Makes sense. I think Auburn's in the game more than I would have thought before, but I don't know where yet. Still trying to figure that out. But it looks like edge recruiting is they got a chance to get a stud or two in that group, just like they did a year ago with Waller and Joe Phillips.
Let's see, Jared Smith, Zion Grady, Ousmane Kroma, the number one arguably the number one running back on the board. He is impressive. I really like this kid. You probably know more about him, Alan, than I do. I really hadn't given Auburn much thought with him until he showed up Saturday morning. Might have even came in Friday night. But man, he don't get me wrong. You know, the visit high obviously is something you have to consider when talking to these kids. But man, he said all the right things and had all the right facial expressions when he said them.
No, I mean, I read y'all's stories, and I also kind of, asked around myself to see what kind of information I could pull, and they're high on him for sure. I mean, I think he is one of 3 backs that they, maybe even 4, if you count Turbo Rogers, who's currently committed to Alabama. But him, Alvin Henderson, and obviously Kylan Deere, I think they would take any one of those 3 or 4 right now. I don't think they would, think twice about taking one of those guys. But a power back from South Georgia, really good vision, good bounce. He's got the complete package, man. I mean, I honestly, my takeaway from this weekend was I don't know who's 1A, 1B on their board. It was just that, hey, we've got this group, and we're not the first one that gets in, we will take it. We're not turning any one of those guys away, period. And then the other takeaway I had was, and I wasn't sure on this. Honestly, my sourcing was not this up until this point, but that they are not ready to let Eric Winters or Alvin Henderson go out of state, period. Those are Joe Phillips's in this class. They are not going to lose to some out-of-state school for those kids. They're just not. They're not willing to relent on that one. So that was my big takeaway. But again, with Usman Kroma, fantastic running back. I think Auburn's going to push for him as much as they possibly can. Florida State and Georgia are obviously, big parts of that recruitment in schools that you have to pay attention to. But Auburn obviously has made an impression. I mean, I think he's planning on coming back for an OV now, and we'll see where it goes.
That's really the point of these. When you get these big dogs from out of state in for an unofficial visit in early spring like this is, your goal is to be in the game when he leaves and to get him back on campus for an official visit. And that's what Auburn was able to do with a lot of these kids that came in from out of state. Let's see who else was in there. How about Darius Dixon coming all the way from California?
I was just about to ask you. I want to know more about him, Jeffrey. You talking to him?
He'd actually been to Auburn previously. Now he was just driving through and he saw campus, and I think it was back when Harsin was here, and I don't think it was like an unofficial visit. He was in the area. They came through. They wanted to see campus. He liked it enough that when these coaches called and said, "Hey man, do you want to come back?" He said, "Absolutely." He came in Saturday, spent all day Saturday, spent Saturday night, and Wesley McGriff being Angamoa.
Look at you.
I corrected it. Got him back on campus. He wants to come back for an official visit. Obviously, now these guys are going to be tough pulls, right? Out of state. Like I said, the goal here is to get them back on campus for an official visit. And Usman Kroma, I'm not saying Auburn's the leader for him. I don't think they are. I think they're in the game. I think they're going to get him back for an official visit, and let's see where things stand after that. Some other out-of-state guys like Juan Gaston. How about big dog Brody Schull, Broderick Schull?
Yeah.
Huge line of scrimmage day at Auburn. And then Antonio Coleman also being there on the other side of the ball. And
Ty Buster.
Buster from North Carolina. You had an offensive lineman come from Oklahoma. You had one from North Carolina. Juan Gaston from Atlanta. Yep.
I mean, we talked about it. Line of scrimmage is massive in this class on both sides. You've got to have 5 to 6 offensive linemen, and you're probably looking at another 4 to 5 defensive linemen in this class, pure inside DL. Not even counting edges or like bucks, whatever they're going to call them at this point.
Mikey DeBose was in-state kid.
Yeah,
there you go.
DeBose. Yeah.
I mean, just you love when the emphasis is that big. You love seeing the names that they had on campus this past week. I mean, you can tell that they're putting some real work there in, and I am going to be interested to see who's the first one that starts to give Jake Thornton a little love. Corner's been rough on Jake Thornton. I want to see that turn around some.
Well, Auburn has a commitment from Spencer Dowling. They got Tavares Dice in. Carday Smith's coming back this weekend with his mother. Big visit there for Auburn. We also failed to mention on the defensive side of the ball, Jordan Crawford was there. Malik Autry was there. In addition to the edges, and in addition to who else did we talk about? Oh, Antonio Coleman. So you had a great group, and you've got more coming back this weekend. And we said Hussein Longstreet is coming in. Carday Smith is coming in. Hey, how about the 2026 class before we move on? Hezekiah Harris was there.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
In fact, an RPM prediction came out of 2026. Cole, talk about that. That was your prediction, my man.
I do. Garrett. Yep, I have a new one. That's Jermichael Garrett. It goes by J Mike from Gulf Shores. He's a linebacker, and Josh Aldridge loves this guy. And I think he came in at number 122 overall in the new. Yeah, let's see, 111, number 111 overall in the new on 300. Overall in the 2026 class. So man, this is a big time guy, and he's a specimen. He's a specimen. He's got that look.
He's a future 5-star. On3 industry ranking has him at the number 22 overall recruit. This is Hezekiah Harris. I'm sorry. Are we still talking about J Mike?
We're still talking about J Mike.
Shit, my bad. Mike. Everybody's gonna make fun of me. I hear you, but I'm not listening.
Zach can edit that out. We're good.
No, I was just pulling up Hezekiah. I was looking at the. Go ahead, Cole. Finish up. I'm gonna talk about the 2026s real quick.
I'll tell you what, Jeffrey, I may not be far off from a prediction on Hezekiah Harris either.
I'm right there with you.
So, but no, Jermichael Garrett, man, I think he's almost got a look similar to DeMarcus Riddick. Yeah. That's almost his build. That's what his stature looks like.
He's impressive.
He is, man. He is. He was bigger than the last time I saw him. He was there in January. And I was like, man. So this is a guy to me that Aldridge has identified early. Now, of course, Aldridge coaching outside linebackers. I think Jermichael Garrett might be an inside backer, but the kid's an Auburn guy. It just seems like he's an Auburn guy.
Loves Auburn.
He even, I'll say it. He even messaged me after the prediction. Was like, hey, man, appreciate that.
Awesome.
How about that?
So, look, I think I feel pretty good about that one.
Well, the thing about that, Cole, is everything you were saying, the reason I was thinking Hezekiah Harris is because a lot of the things that you just said about Jermichael Garrett, I feel the same way about Hezekiah Harris.
Yeah.
He loves Auburn, man. This kid from Huntsville, he's been to Auburn several times. He was back. He looks a lot similar. He's built. He's an impressive specimen as well. And another guy who reminds me of that, not so much the Auburn side of things, but Tyler Atkinson, who was there Saturday as well. Good-looking kid. Good-looking kid.
Just about to say that. And how big is that Grayson connection now?
Yes.
With Kenyatta Watson working on this young man who he's known for a very long time. Got to love it. I mean, if Auburn gets those three kids in the 26th class for linebacker, my word.
Yeah.
Tyler Atkinson, the number 1 overall linebacker in the country, according to the On3 industry rankings, number 12 overall. I was going to go real quick. Hey, we're talking about offensive and defensive line. Saturday's visitors, Vodney Cleveland was there. Big dog D lineman from Prattville. Deuce Geralds was there, another top 100 recruit, defensive lineman from Collins Hill, Suwanee, Georgia. Bryce Perry Wright, big dog defensive lineman from Buford, who is the teammate of Devin Williams, Auburn's cornerback commitment, who also was there. Let's see, who else? James Morrow.
I was going to say, we haven't talked about James Morrow much at all. We'll have his interview up, but he basically said Auburn's number 1. I mean,
okay.
So I thought that was interesting. I don't know where he is on the board. It's still early with that class, but he's a guy that, a D lineman from Buford, it's hard to think that guy wouldn't be somebody to watch.
Teammates with
Bryce
Perry. Bryce Perry Wright, right?
Listen, if you're somebody who follows the Buford football program, you know how good they are. Okay. KJ Bolden was in with them last year. There's probably 12 to 15 guys from Buford at Auburn Saturday.
And one of them was not Jaden Perlotti, but he's obviously still a big dog for Auburn.
Devin Williams is committed to Auburn from Buford.
Devin Williams. Then we talked about James Morrow, Bryce Perry Wright, Nasir McCoy.
Nasir McCoy too.
Four-star DB, James Morrow. Anthony Davis is a linebacker. No, he's from Grayson. I'm sorry, he's from Grayson.
Yeah,
that's right. Big group from Buford, and an impressive, just an overall really impressive day that we got to see and experience firsthand for Auburn. I thought Bianca, all the recruiting girls did a fantastic job. Zara Williams, Riley Wooten.
Yep.
Who else? I didn't want to leave anybody out. Who am I forgetting?
They just made a new hire, right?
Yeah, Caitlin Lambert.
Yes.
Caitlin Lambert. That's it. That was it. Caitlin Lambert, Riley Wooten, Zaria Williams, and then B. Riley Wooten and Bianca James. Is it right? That's her Twitter name. I think it is. I'll call her B, man.
Hey, how about Jeffrey? You schooled me up a little bit on a guy that was talking to us.
It's Bianca Webb, but on her Twitter profile, it's Bianca James. Those young ladies did a fantastic job. Had tents out in the parking lot, balloons, everything. Did a fantastic job. I'm sorry, Cole. Go ahead, big dog.
You schooled me up a little bit on a guy that I was. He came up and talked to us, and you were like, "Hey, that's Dexter Carter."
Yeah,
remember that
Dexter Carter for you OGs out there.
Alan, you familiar with Dexter?
I know exactly who Dexter Carter is. I mean, anybody that watched Florida State in the 90s knows who Dexter Carter is.
And recruited against him at Florida State.
He played running backs Florida coach. State. He was on the Super Bowl winning 49ers. He was like the punt returner, kick returner guy.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Young was a quarterback, right?
He played. That was his second trip to the Niners. The first time he was there, it was Roger Craig and Joe Montana.
Yes.
He replaced Roger Craig in the backfield, or he was at least drafted in the first round to replace Roger Craig in the backfield. I think he got hurt, but he went to the Jets maybe, and then came back to the 49ers. But yeah, he sat there and talked to us for a long time.
And then he coached at Florida State under Bowden, right?
Did he really?
Was it? No, yeah, he was. He was there under Bowden, and when Jimbo took over,
that's right,
he got ousted.
I did not realize that.
He has some really good stories.
So his son is Devin Carter, 2026 wide receiver. I don't remember where they're from exactly. Somewhere in Georgia,
Cedar Grove, in Augusta.
Oh, Cedar Grove. Okay, Cedar Grove. So yeah, Devin Carter. You need to. I tell you what,
four-star wide receiver.
Watching his highlights, this is a 5-star to me.
Okay,
he reminds me of. I'm be honest. He looks a lot like Ryan Williams on the field.
Very smooth. I thought
kind of player. That's the kind of player this guy is. And
he's a future 5-star, Cole. He's a future 5-star, number 20 overall in the On3 industry rankings.
There you go.
You know, and it's funny with wide receivers, and you see it sometimes on tape, and other times you don't. But how fluid an athlete he is. Like, that's just one of those things you can't coach. Either
that's how his dad was.
Yeah, you either have that natural ability or you don't. Like, there are certain things you can coach and certain things you can't. And that skill set he's just a natural wide receiver that's just extremely fluid, very smooth in everything that he does.
Right.
Just extremely impressive. Now, he's young, okay, and we'll see what he's like after another year worth of tape. But I'm with you, Cole. I was impressed for sure.
Speaking of 2026 wide receivers, as a sack in the back mentioned in the chat, Aaron Gregory, the number 2 overall wide receiver in the 2026 class, was in Auburn on Thursday. He was there for the Thursday practice. Isn't that right, Cole? We saw him. I think it was Thursday.
Yeah, it was just you. I wasn't there that day, but yes, he was there.
Let's see. So a huge day, man. No commitments came out of it, but I think we're all watching. Alvin Henderson. I think early April, a couple of weeks from now. Alvin Henderson, we all feel good about him. A couple of other guys. Ty Buster maybe is a guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I think that relationship's there with Jake Thornton and his offensive line coach there in North Carolina. Played ball together at Western Carolina.
Yep.
So a lot of familiarity.
Michael Garrett, obviously.
Michael Garrett, 2026. Now the Hicks kid did not make it. Zealous.
Yes.
Yep.
Did not make it. He and neither did Denarius Gray and
Chris
Ewald. But their flights was canceled, but they're coming back, man. I think Auburn's in it, obviously with Denarius.
Yeah, I think Zealous Hicks had a 7-on-7 tournament that came up, and he was in that.
Okay,
so he's going to make it though. I think
he did. He's not coming. He's from Carrollton,
right?
Yeah, that's where Juju had to go. That's why Juju came in on Friday and left Saturday so he could go play with his team on 7-on-7. So
that's right.
So a lot of guys, I think Auburn made huge moves for. And then this weekend, real quick, we'll get to some questions from the corner. This weekend, not a big 2026. I think Keenan Britt is supposed to come in tomorrow, Wednesday. Rodney Colton's coming in. Auburn also offered that 2026 quarterback from on Saturday. What was his name?
Brody McWhorter.
That's it. Brody McWhorter.
That's a
I think
quarterback name if there ever was one, isn't it?
He is the quarterback at Cass High School, which is where Cale Ellis plays. Auburn commit Cale Ellis.
Let me give you this. Okay. Cale Ellis, you're right. All right, Saturday, March 23rd, this weekend, Auburn's going to have, we know of, Husan Longstreet, huge visit. I think Auburn's going to make a big move for him. I do. I think Auburn's going to make a big move for him. How about Travis Smith coming in, number 11 wide receiver in the country, coming over? We talked about Carday Smith. And then AJ is Ia. So I looked at this, right, and I'm going, man, that guy lowercase is his, maybe it's a Polynesian thing or something. I don't know. AJ Law, right? That's what I looked at that. And I was like, AJ Law. Oh, and it's a lowercase L. Dude, I wrote the story with using a lowercase LA, AJ Law. And so, I'm talking to somebody Saturday. It's actually, I would never found that one with the way I pronounced it. But it's a capital I. It's Ia. It's AJ Ia.
Okay.
It's AJ Ia. He's coming in. He's already scheduled an official visit, but he's coming for an unofficial visit this weekend. I think his official visit is May 31st, maybe. Yes, May 31st. He's coming back. So he's making. So you had Darius Dixon from California come last weekend. You've got AJ Ia and you've got Husan Longstreet, both coming from California this weekend. So those four right now, it's not going to be as big of a weekend as it was this past weekend, obviously. I don't think anybody expects it to be. How about Josh Petty? Let's talk about Josh Petty. Number 4 offensive tackle, a 5-star offensive tackle, visited Auburn on Tuesday. Came and spent the entire day at Auburn. Well, finished it off with a practice and a meeting with Jake Thornton, and talked to him after the visit. And man, he had some very encouraging things to say. He's one of those guys that you get on campus and you want to get back on campus for an official visit. He was there with his mom, his sister. They, like I said, they spent all day in Auburn, and very encouraging quotes from him as he left. Another big lineman.
Yeah, that was his first visit since last year. I think he visited in May last year.
Yes.
So first time back. I think it was another home run. I really do. And when I say that, I don't mean that Auburn's going to get the guy. I mean, they have set themselves up to have a chance.
And if you're being realistic on this, you've had 3 top end left tackle prospects that have come in within the last week. So it's Brody Skoll, right? Isn't that how you say his name?
Scholl.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first name I got wrong today. Andrew Babalola, and then Josh Petty today. If you can just get one of those 3.
All right. So that is, do you remember our 3 we talked about on the defensive line last year?
Yeah.
LJ McCray.
Yeah. Cameron.
Cameron Franklin.
Yep.
Is that
right?
Cam Franklin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Camarion Franklin.
Camarion Franklin.
Camarion. That's it. All right. There's mine. And Jeremiah Beeman.
Yeah.
Those 3 were the big 3 on the D line. You're trying to get them, right? I think there's a big 3 on the O line this year, and those are the 3.
No, I agree. You're just trying to get one. If you get more than one, it's gravy, man.
Yep.
Who would you say Auburn obviously struck out all 3 of those guys last year?
And then found Amaris Williams.
Yes, Amaris Williams. He fit that mold.
Right. So does something like that happen this year, or do you guys think they land one of those 3? I tend to believe the matchups are better on these 3 than they were on the defensive linemen last year. I think they get one of these 3. I firmly do, and I'm gonna put my money on Babalola right now.
Oh, they got TJ Lindsey. I would have put him in my top 5. If Auburn missed on their top 3, I would have had somewhere TJ Lindsey at the 4 or 5 spot.
Yeah,
would I have been wrong?
He was a big one. He was.
I like TJ. I just think he's more raw than those 4.
Who was the 4th one?
Amaris Williams.
See, I would have had him at edge or somewhere.
But hey, Jeffrey,
I was thinking interior D lineman.
You saw what I was talking about though with TJ Lindsey. You said who's number 13?
Yeah,
you picked him out of the crowd
too.
That's he's got that look. He really does.
I know this. These weren't, but Malik Blockton was another good one.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were practice reports about Malik Blocking getting snaps with the first team today. So
he was.
I mean, that's interesting. I would not have thought Malik Blockton would be getting first team snaps right now. And maybe it's spring and they're rolling everybody through. Who knows, right?
Well, in Freeze's words today, there's guys that look like they're first teamers, but we don't have first teamers yet. So he said we want to mix and match, try to see who can hang with the big boys, basically.
I think that's smart.
Also, in Freeze's words, check down. That's an 8-yard gain.
He said, what?
He said, check down. That's an 8-yard gain. I did a voiceover for Freeze today.
Yeah.
Tuesday practice. You have to
get out of here.
Go to Twitter to
That's
get
an 8-yard gain. Check down.
He's watching. Check down. That's an 8-yard gain. Sometimes he said, was that my voice over Hugh Freeze?
You know what? Next time when they do a remake of The Longest Yard, we'll have Jeffrey Lee playing Coach Cotton this time.
Yeah. Oh, is that the guy who mumbles? And
oh yeah, the one that's supposed to be Hugh.
Man, so when I'm interviewing these recruits, even with Christian and Cole and Jason and everybody, and I always ask a question or something, and they'll go, "Sir," and I'm like, oh, shit, "Slow down, dude."
Yep.
What do you think about the game out there? You talking about, sir? What do you think?
Revolutionary man.
And I was the word was Renaissance, right?
Yeah.
I told old Shoal, like, you're a revolutionary man, ain't you? He's like, yeah, I collect artifacts from the historic, yeah. And I was like,
I couldn't. Alan, I couldn't handle it, man. I just couldn't.
Listen, and you couldn't add me to the mix, dude, because I sound like Boomhauer, Boomhauer anyway. So it would just make it terrible, dude.
Dang old Auburn, man. What do you think about Auburn, dang old man?
Yeah.
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Y'all seen old Busey?
Yeah, man. Something's wrong with him.
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Oh my goodness! All right, Zach, give us some questions. Questions from the corner. Oh, JT Albee. How long do you think it will be before we get a quarterback in the 2025? Great timing on the question. And will it be Longstreet?
They're going to push for him. I don't know if they're going to get him, but they're going to push.
I think we'll know something by the end of April.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well,
April 14th.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's already set a date. That's right.
Yep.
I'm telling you what. This is the one I'm really looking forward to this weekend.
Me too. I've been waiting for that one.
I wasn't when I say excited, because of some resolution to the quarterback recruiting. I don't look at Juju Lewis and go, "Ooh, man, Auburn could really get." No, I just don't. I'm not there. I look at Longstreet and I go, and look, this dude's good.
Very. He's extremely talented. Now, obviously, A&M's going to be tough to beat.
Sure.
But Hugh Freeze is, I feel like they're all chips in here, right? I don't think there's anybody on this panel that would disagree that all chips are in on Juju Lewis and Houston Longstreet right now, period. Because what other quarterback has set up a visit to come to Auburn at this point?
Yeah, not that we know of. I think you're right.
Woods.
I think if we ask Cutter Woods or if we ask some of these other guys, they'd probably go, "Yeah, we're working on it."
Mm-hmm.
That's
I did
exactly
because I checked in with Cutter last week, and that's what he said. We haven't said anything yet.
And if they haven't said, exactly, because they're all chips in on these two, and then we'll see how it goes. I think, Jeffrey, you coined it perfectly. After this visit, we're going to know, because if they bring in another quarterback, that's telling us they don't feel great about their chances. If they don't, we'll see after April 14th.
And he's going to spend all weekend in Auburn. This is an unofficial official visit. They're going to put the press on him and his parents. This is big. This is Auburn's probably one and only shot to get this much face time before his announcement in 3 weeks.
Does he take a visit to A&M after Auburn?
He's scheduled to.
Okay.
He's already been to A&M once. So Auburn's behind the 8 ball right here.
But I will say this, Auburn was behind the 8 ball for Walker White as well. I think everybody was either favoring Ole Miss or Clemson before Walker visited Auburn for that series. I think he had like 2 visits in a row, right? Or was it just the one visit?
Walker?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he just
it was the one.
was it just one? I thought he visited like twice. Like
Came to Auburn?
yeah, I
No,
thought
he visited one time to
Wow.
Auburn because he took his official visit. His official visit was the second visit to Auburn.
I thought his official visit was in the fall. I thought Walker tabled his official visit to the fall. Yeah,
that was his second visit to Auburn, I think.
he was there. He was there
came
for
to
Big
camp.
Cat. Yeah, well, he came to
Oh
camp
yeah,
and Big
that's
Cat.
right. He
Was he there for Big Cat?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he committed in February because I was up in a tree stand. It was early February.
He camped. Jeffrey, he camped, and then it was that weekend that was Big Cat, so he made it a long trip. Him and his family.
You're exactly right. He camped and stayed for Big Cat, didn't he?
Well, Big Cat, no, Big Cat was July. He camped in June with Bryce King. Because we got Bryce King coming off that camp. He threw to Bryce King and Malcolm Simmons. Now, what Jeffrey did with him is Jeffrey kicked down the gate over there at Auburn High School. You know what I mean? And
I didn't have to. Those jokers jumped it.
And let him get an early throwing session in before Big Cat even got started. That's what that was.
Okay, he came on January the 15th,
right?
Which was 3 weeks before his visit. I mean, for his announcement.
Right.
He came back to camp on June the 9th.
Yep.
For camp, and then he came back in July for Big Cat, and then he came to a couple of games in the fall.
Yeah, in OV, but before his commitment, which is what's pertinent to this conversation.
Right, one visit,
one
documented visit that we know of.
Dang, he was at A-Day too. I forgot it. He was at A-Day for sure.
I'm trying to do better on keeping up with in the visit center this year.
I said 2 visits. He took all kinds of visits.
Well, not before his announcement.
Not before,
but after he committed, dude, he was a regular.
Cole, as much as you guys were having report, I mean, like, look at, and then we need to get answering some questions, but think about how much busier y'all were this past year by comparison to the year prior.
Oh, True. Yeah.
I mean, damn, man.
It showed. I was feeling old.
Yeah.
I was wearing down. All right, Hamburglar. What was the story on Trey Donaldson? Was he legitimately interested in playing football at Auburn? He absolutely was.
Yeah,
and they were interested in having him. Matter of fact, I remember I was surprised when he chose basketball, and when he first started, that was his intent. His intention was to play both sports, and then he said, "No, I'm going to stick with basketball." And I was like, "Huh?"
Because he was a better safety prospect in high school.
Fantastic.
I mean, he was a good point guard prospect, but a 4-star high end safety target.
From the Panhandle, I believe.
Yeah, I think he was out of Tallahassee. In fact,
you're right. Sure was.
Who's the former Heisman Trophy winner? Charlie Ward was his head coach.
He was FSU schools where he went to high school.
Is that where it was?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Charlie Ward sure was his coach, wasn't he? Yep. So he came wanting to play both sports, and then surprisingly said, "I'm good with basketball."
Okay, Jeffrey, I found your story from August 5th, 2021.
On who?
On Trey Donaldson.
Okay.
He said it's between Florida State, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Georgia Tech. I'm making my decision based off of where I feel comfortable playing both sports. That's what he said that day.
Mm-hmm. And I remember checking to see if he had a legit basketball offer, and he did.
Yeah.
And, I thought that was kind of, football was his primary and basketball was going to be secondary. And so that was like, does he have a basketball scholarship? Like, yeah. I was like, okay. But I mean, does he really, once he signs, does he really? Like, yeah, no, he's good.
No, it was Wes's guy. I mean,
you're right. Sure was. And so it was legit. He came primarily for football and ended up sticking with basketball. I don't even think he ever put on a pad at Auburn.
No, absolutely not. And if anybody just heard me laugh, probably like 2 minutes ago, Zach in the back is undefeated in the private chat.
MP Bagwell. Remember old Jeff? That's Jeff's nephew.
There you go.
Who is one guy that the staff made a big move for this weekend? Good question. That may have not been huge on Auburn previously.
That's got to be Zion Grady, and we've already talked about him, but I've heard enough now where I go, all right, I need to be on my P's and Q's with Zion Grady more than I was, because he likes Auburn. I think I really do.
Okay, I'll take your word for it because I'm gonna have a hard time wrapping my head around that one. I'm
Nope.
gonna be honest. And I trust your reporting and your sourcing better than my own. But that's
Wow.
just that one's.
Believe it when you see it.
I feel the
Yeah.
same way. I feel
Hey,
the
listen,
same way.
there are those dudes in every class. And I probably Beeman was one last year. Ryan Williams was probably one last year. Demarcus Riddick was one for me last year. Perry Thompson was one for me last year.
Perry Thompson was absolutely that one for me until we got to about July, and then I had enough information. I was like, okay,
It's
I
happening.
got to take this serious. It's happening.
Yeah. So I would say I would put that may have not been huge on. I would say Usma Groma is probably be in the boat there.
I think you got to throw Cortez Mills in there as somebody that we have to really pay attention to at receiver now. So.
They walked him around all day long, buddy.
Yeah.
How about Antonio Coleman?
Sure,
That's a good one. That's a good
Alabama commit showing up with an Auburn trucker hat on.
It's a sweet hat too, man.
After you flipped in a very public fashion,
he did. And he did the best thing possible, which was decline an exit interview.
Absolutely.
Don't say a word. It's your old business. Take care of it.
Yep.
And if I'm him, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to be committed to Alabama throughout this entire 9 months. And then in December, I'll make my final decision.
Absolutely.
And I probably wouldn't get an interview unless it was an Alabama interview and I was saying how good I feel about Alabama.
Yeah. I mean,
who else showed up in a very similar hat many times to Auburn while committed to Alabama was Robert Woodyard. We have a picture. We have a picture of him in like the same hat. Not that I don't know if it means anything, but it's interesting.
Both Mobile guys.
They are both Mobile guys.
AU Brian 98 with Derek Smith committing to Bama and Antonio Coleman recommitting, and then coming back to Auburn the next weekend. Is this due to these visits where they are being pressured to commit? I think they're being encouraged to commit. Absolutely. Alabama they've got a new coaching staff. They need to get some things going, create some momentum. I absolutely believe that both of these guys it's not like, oh my God, they were doing something shady. No, man. Hey, we need to get some guys. We need to get the ball rolling. So look, we want you to commit, and I'm not so sure that there can't be incentive for these guys to go ahead and commit.
What rules are there against it now?
I don't think there is.
Unless it is a violation of state law, and good luck getting law enforcement to enforce an NIL rule, state law on some high school kid, especially an Alabama commitment. Okay, like I'm gonna be honest with you on that one.
I mean, I can't
good
speak.
for them if they are. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with it. I am no way am I trying to disparage being incentivized to commit to a certain university. Good for the kid.
And if it's working, I'm sure Auburn's doing it. And if they're not, they should be.
Right. If I was good enough, which I wasn't, but if I had been good enough, hell yeah, I would have wanted to, be incentivized to make my commitment.
Right.
I can't speak to Derek Smith or Antonio Coleman, but I did say on the last show, the guys are being pushed and pressured to commit right now, just in general. That's what this time of year is, and it moves up every year, it seems like, with the whole NIL era. But it's a little different, and I know Derek Smith has visited Alabama several times. Antonio Coleman's, that one's hard to read, obviously. He's flipped several times. So a guy like Tavares Dice, who has just gone on record and said Florida State is trying to knock Auburn off. Miami, all these schools are pushing. It's a little different when a guy like Tavares Dice is at Auburn every single chance he gets. Yeah. That makes sense when they commit. It's the ones that come out of nowhere, like Antonio Coleman flipping to Auburn. We didn't know about that. I'll just be honest with you. I mean, we'd heard that Auburn made a good move with him, but then bam, it happened. We're like, okay, we'll take it, I guess, but I'm not sure what to do with that.
I think I was in Red Schoolhouse eating.
I was at the movies, man. You know what I mean? And like that came across the text. I was like, what? Huh?
You can imagine how we felt. I was on a run. I remember that. I did the old, let me go back that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Tigers Unlimited. Do y'all still feel the best about our chances? Still feel the best about our chances with Babalola after hearing Petty and Scholl will likely OV as well. Babalola, is he a 5-star?
Yes.
From Kansas, Oklahoma,
Kansas.
Kansas.
Scholl's from Oklahoma.
They're all 5 stars. All three of them.
Petty from Georgia.
I don't think it doesn't affect me with that those other two. There you go. Andrew Babalola from Oakland Park, Kansas.
I think they're asking who do you feel the best about now that we know they're all taking OVs.
I'm still going to go with Babalola just because I'm not worried about either in-state school as it pertains to him.
With his brother down the road in Tuskegee.
His brother's down the road in Tuskegee. With Scholl, if Oklahoma turned up the pressure, what would that do? You know what I mean? Like, I honestly don't know if he's wanting to stay in-state or not. The other listed team that he said Auburn was competing against is Texas Tech. But the feeling I got from that report is that Oklahoma is not pushing at that point. So what happens if they decide to turn the dial up there? Same thing with Georgia and Josh Petty. If they decide to put the screws in on him, what does that do to that recruitment? I don't know, but you have to account for the in-state school. As it pertains to Kansas and Kansas State, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Even if they turn up the heat, I don't think I'm overly worried on that one. No offense to either of those two schools, but they are not schools that recruit in the top 30, period. They're top 40 maybe.
Alan, how would you rank those three from in most confidence to least confidence?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's rank them.
I'll go Babalola, Scholl, Petty.
Me too.
Yep, that's it for me too. Maybe even give Scholl I might even give Scholl the edge over Babalola, but I think I'll go Babalola. I don't know.
That's the only thing I'm considering. Like I right now, I know what Petty said after his visit. He's coming back, and listen to that. His sister's going to be big, but a big dog offensive lineman in the state of Georgia that Georgia wants is typically not a good sign.
No, that's a tough row to hoe. And Stacy's been good as far as keeping kids in state so far.
And like you said, the in-state competition, those others are not like that. So 1A, 1B with Petty at number 3.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And with Scholl, you have an argument because you know more about the competition. He was very adamant that it was Auburn and Texas Tech. Babalola listed about 4 or 5 teams, if I remember correctly, that are in his top group.
I always appreciate the guys who don't make you guess. They'll just tell you straight up what's going on. And Brody Scholl was that guy. Tim Merritt was that guy from Parker High School. You know, I love that.
Deal Holy. What are your roller coaster recruits for this year? Oh, man.
Well,
the recruits that take us on a ride, make a mid, or trend towards other schools, but ultimately end up at Auburn.
That was easy.
Are you talking about those that are already committed?
We've been on the roller coaster ride with Alvin Henderson for a while.
Alvin's the first person who came to my mind. Obviously, Antonio Coleman.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Let's
Derek
see
Smith.
who else.
I was going to say Derek Smith.
Derek Smith, you better watch that one. I don't know. It's a little different. I'm not seeing. I mean, I was having to do at the end of not even like in October. I started a flip watch article because there's so many flip targets. I mean, I had like 15 guys on those lists.
I was going to say it's so early. I mean, we're still 9 months from signing day. Through this early quarter, for the recruiting process, those 3 guys are your roller coaster recruits right now. You know, and in June, July, we'll probably have 3 more to add to that.
Would you put Malik Autry on your list for roller coaster, being that he's going to take his
2 weeks? I would have 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little better about that one too.
I'm telling you, man. He was at Auburn Friday, Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday, and saying all the right things. Yeah, I'm going to. But listen, it's not going to happen. If Auburn wants that kid, and I absolutely, 100% believe they do, he'll sign with Auburn.
And in my opinion, now Cole feels a little differently. Not that he's throwing shade or there's any comparison there, but he's a top 3 player in the class, in my opinion, right now. I think he's got NFL upside.
Boy, he is pretty.
Yeah, man. He keeps getting bigger and
He sure does.
I mean,
He's bigger than Montravius Atkins. Adams.
Yeah, he stood beside Montravius. He's a bigger guy than Montravius,
who just signed with the Steelers for 2 years.
Cole, where do you think he plays 3 tech? Like, honestly.
Yeah.
I do
think
too.
He's a
stud 3.
He's as big as he is too.
Yeah, he could get up to 330 and still be okay.
All right, let's see. BBP. Gun to Allen Head. All right. Do we get 2 football commitments by the end of the month? 2 football commitments by the end of the month?
Yes. Yeah. Big two big thumbs up for me on that one.
We went 1.5 last week under. Me and Allen did. I think Cole took over. I'm on the over train now.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, welcome to the club.
Well, you know what? To be fair, I was thinking 2025, specifically, exclusively.
Agreed. But if we're talking commitments as a total, yeah, I feel comfortable saying we're going to get 2 more.
I'll take the over on
hey, are y'all for real? Are y'all counting Devin Williams for me? For Mark?
Hell no. Man. Technicality. Come on now.
Okay.
I can't let you have that one, Cole.
When did he commit?
Somebody on the board.
Dude,
somebody on the board.
February 26th. That was like half a week.
Somebody on the board asked, "Hey, is that Buford guy committing anytime soon?" And Jeffrey, you answered. You're like,
Jeffrey linked the article, dude, because he thought he found some info. Right?
Yeah. He's like, man, I was reading this Malik Autry, and did anybody else see it? It was about Devin Williams committing.
They leaked it.
I was like, damn it, cat's out of the bag. Here you go.
Yeah, you got me.
All right, J Strip 77. What is the biggest need in the 2026 class? Man, we're still figuring out 2025, but 2026. Let's see if they stack up on the linemen this year, both sides of the ball. I guess it might go back to what we saw last year. Biggest needs, which were linebackers, wide receivers. What about run? Well, they'll have 2 running backs in 2025, so that won't be a big need. They're stacking up on tight ends in 2025, so that won't be a big need. They're going to sign 3 wide receivers in 2025. So,
honestly, I think it's just going to be. We'd have to look at what the attrition is coming out of that senior class. But I'm going to be honest, the numbers are so much greater in the lower ranks by comparison to where they're like this. There's a big senior class. And then if you look at Justin's chart, there's like 13 kids in that next graduating class. There's not a lot.
It's poor.
It is. So if you don't have a lot of forced attrition, I don't know what you're going to stack up on that.
Well, here's the thing. I think they went big on linebacker, wide receiver. They're going big on linebacker. So maybe by that third class, everything kind of evens out, and you're filling holes and not having to load up on one position.
I think you're probably right. I think you're just recruiting each position, your typical numbers that you would recruit, and you're playing to your natural attrition.
So in that case, you hope that there's not a glaring weakness on your roster. You hope there's not a huge need to fill somewhere. You hope you're just filling those attrition, those seniors holes, and restocking the cupboard. Let's see, KDB 2. Who is each of y'all's favorite recruit that Auburn has had a good chance with this cycle, and why?
Now, you guys know the personalities on these better than I do, so I'm going to have to speak to skill set.
I'm assuming this is going to be not somebody committed right now, right? Is that what they want?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine would have to come from Saturday. That was the most interaction I've had with recruits in this class. As a matter of fact, although I loved Aaron Gregory on Thursday, fantastic kid, loved him.
Let me look at the list real quick. I love Jermichael Garrett. I'm a big fan of Jermichael Garrett. Sometimes you meet a guy that I like the guys that make it easy on you. If I'm being a little bit selfish about that, but he don't really mince words. He kind of lets you know what he's thinking. And for that sake, Brody Scholl. I really enjoyed his interview.
I was going to say Brody.
He's an interesting guy, and he's telling you exactly what he's thinking. I like that. I like Tristan TK Norman. I like him a lot.
Oh, good one.
Yeah,
good one.
I like Tristan. Talked to him a good bit. I like him. I think he's a guy. Even though he got a Georgia offer, I would be surprised to see him leave the state, but we'll see.
I mean, I think Auburn's going to have to, if Georgia's pushing, Auburn's going to have to pick it up there. I don't think that Auburn started the push just yet, but they've started to up the communication for sure. Or that's the way, the read I have on it anyway.
Oh, I would have said Tavares Dice. He's committed now, but man, I enjoyed covering his recruitment all the way up to this point. He has been at Auburn so many times I can't count, and he always gives us time. And he'll give a 10-minute interview. He don't care. He's a good guy.
That's mine. I loved his interview that he did with Phillip Dukes of National from the On3. I thought it was a really good interview.
Yeah,
very
it was
encouraged.
great. It was great.
So that's my favorite so far from a personality standpoint.
Commitment. I also like Malik Audrey. I like what he's bringing to the table. He's given us good stuff.
I like his Batman. You know what I mean? Like I love
the OG Batman.
The OG Batman.
Yeah.
Adam West, Batman signal. All right, let's see.
Tim Merritt would be my last.
Oh yeah, I like Tim Merritt too. He's a good kid.
Yep.
Let's see. J-Rock Eagle. Who are the two must-haves on both sides of the ball for 2025 who are currently not committed? I think we start at the edge position on defense.
For sure.
Or the D-line. Must have. Would it be Zion or Jared Smith and or
Scroggins? Like, give me one of those three. Because you've already got Caleb Falk in the class. You got to have two edges in this class. Give me one of those three, in my opinion. I'll take any one of the three.
For this question, this is not the first time we've been asked a question similar to this. And my mind always goes to, again, who's the one that it would just it would hurt your feelings if you're an Auburn fan and you lost this guy.
Right.
And to me, it's Antonio Coleman.
Okay.
Is he good?
On defense. Yeah. Yeah, he's good.
Is he like he's not an LJ McCray, Cam Franklin?
Not built. He's not built like those guys. I mean, you saw him. He's not like this lengthy NFL freak looking guy. But his explosion off the ball is as good as anybody in this class.
He's kind of like a spark plug.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And to be honest, on his high school tape, Jeffrey, if you watch it, he lines up at the nose and just wears centers out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some fun tape to watch because of how quick his get off is. He's probably going to have to play 3 tech. I think he's a little undersized to play nose at the next level because he's probably 6'1", 6'2" maybe 285 right now.
Yeah, that's about
so
right.
He's probably going to have to slide to the 3. But look, you think about another guy that was about that size, Marcus Harris. That's probably from a frame standpoint what you're looking at. If you can get Marcus Harris from that kid, that's well worth the investment.
Do you know how, Jeffrey, you love a big D lineman? You remember how Nick Fairley?
I'm glad you put lineman on the end of that. Yes.
You remember how Nick Fairley he was like running through water almost. Like nobody's even getting a hand on him. That's what Antonio Coleman's film looks
I was
like.
going to ask, when y'all were talking about playing nose and beating everybody like that, Nick Fairley's the one who popped up in my mind.
He's not big like that. I mean, Nick Fairley was huge.
When I'm looking at must-haves, like Cole said, who would hurt your feelings? Alvin Henderson on offense. If you miss on Alvin Henderson, to me, he's a must-have.
Yeah, Derek Smith, it came to mind for me too, you know.
And then if that is the situation, it's Eric Winters on defense, it's Alvin Henderson on offense. Those are the two to me. We already talked about it. Those are your Joe Phillipses of this class. You cannot let Eric Winters go to Georgia. You cannot let Alvin Henderson go to FSU or Miami.
I agree.
Just can't lose those.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's get some how about yous. Good questions this week, man. Fantastic questions. Appreciate all that. I have 6 this week.
I have 4, and they are all classics.
Oh,
I would call them classics. Guys that have been around for a while.
Legends.
They're working on legendary status.
Okay,
that way.
Yeah.
BM Harp, that guy owns me, and I don't have a specific post to point out for him, but he owns me. And you know what? I think he needs more how about yous. So BM Harp.
BM Harp. I feel like he is a regular on the how about you list.
He sometimes is, but when he doesn't get one, he just. I love how he pops in the thread and he goes, "All right, I'll work harder next week." I love that.
How about you be?
How about you? How about you? Okay. Eli, double lot. He gets another one from me because he came out and said after the Tavares Dice commitment, okay, I'll shut up about Jake Thornton. Good one. Good one, Jake Thornton. You got me.
Okay.
Because he has been a guy. He has come in every thread and said, Jake Thornton, you better get it going.
He was the first person I thought of when I said that the corner's been a little rough on Jake Thornton. I'm on the Jake Thornton redemption tour this season, okay? I hope Jake stuffs some people in a locker.
I do too.
You know what I mean?
Because I love the way the offensive line looks right now. And if you don't like that, I don't know what you're looking at.
He's good.
Yep. And you know what? Offensive line's that position. I don't care how you get there. Just get there. I don't care if it's a bunch of stars. Doesn't matter to me on the offensive line. Matters to me at a lot of positions, not on offensive line. Don't care.
I hear you.
Yep.
I like it.
All right. So BM Harp, Eli, double lot, Coochie Rabbit.
Oh, Coochie. Love me some Coochie.
What he got me with something. Somebody made a post about. It was a crazy post. You know, we have a few of those every day. He goes, you know what? I like you as an AU brother, but you're going to need some medication.
Oh, I read that one. I love you as an AU bug, but
yeah, that's right. Which I hate that term, but yes. Yeah, don't like that term. And speaking of bug, Charlie 5 gets my last one.
Oh, Charlie.
How about that?
Yep.
King of the bug.
Yes. Some do call him that.
All right, Mr. Allen.
Okay, let me go with BBP.
Oh, good one.
Very good.
Yeah, he had one today that got me. Bobby Sweatpants. I thought in a thread it was about the Auburn Florida matchup. He had some spot on points, and then Ashley Schaefer just because he made me laugh this week.
All right,
3 times in a row.
Yeah, you know what, man? He said if you haven't been to Boston, Boston rules. You suck. You know, and so
Boston rules.
Yep. I got a good laugh out of that one.
All right, I got some how about you. How about you to my big dog, Jimmy Sexton?
Dude, yes. Make that times 2.
He's been good. He's been good.
And all he does is post the Tiger Woods big dog.
Yes.
It gets me every time. Every time.
I just love the name, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jimmy Sexton. How about you, big dog? How about you to Kyle Shue for sticking with me throughout the Nate Oates is arguably the best coach in the SEC.
Tell you what, that entertained me, son. I enjoyed that thread. I'm sorry.
It ruined my day. It ruined my day. And which brings me to how about you to Matt AU05 for ruining. Actually, he didn't ruin it. We had a great discussion.
A healthy conversation.
It turned healthy.
There you go.
It became healthy. It became healthy.
And here's the thing, man. I have said, I apologize to my mama because I did it. I freaking argued with Rice DP. I argued with him, and then I argued with him for hours. He's like, yeah, I agree with you. How about you, big dog? How about you to Rice DP? 105, not to be confused with 106.
Okay.
So how about you to Matt? How about you to Rice? How about you to Kyle? How about you to Jimmy Sexton? How about you to the Hamburglar? The Hamburglar, I believe, provided our POW, personal question of the week. Q is silent.
Did he really?
He sure did.
So. Okay.
And how about you to Slack Daddy?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Slack Daddy's a great poster.
Times 2.
Great. Times 2. All right. Slack Daddy, big dog coming in hot. So we got Matt Rice, Slack Daddy, Hamburglar, Kyle Shue, Jimmy Sexton, BM Harp, Eli Double Lot. Oh, Coochie.
Realistically, Coochie can make it every week. I mean,
sure. I agree.
He does, man. He just has some. He knows how to punch it up, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
He gets his jabs in there too, don't he?
He sure does,
dude.
That's exactly how, if I was an anonymous poster like that, I would. He's probably more like me than I want to admit. But you know what I mean. Again, I love me some Coochie. Love me some Coochie.
Always have.
Always have. How about you to Charlie 5? How about you to BBP? How about you to Bobby Sweatpants coming back strong? Yeah. He's a damn good poster. He really is.
He is, man. Bobby's a good poster for sure.
And how about you to Ashley Shaver way down in your plums?
With that bluish hue.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it, man. Fantastic show. I knew it was. I know it's a lot better show, and you got a lot of good things to talk about. Auburn has had a lot of good things recruiting wise to talk about, and it will continue through the month of March. We will try to keep up with everything at Auburn Live on 3. If you're not a member right now, you can be. $1 for the first month. Actually, if you use the promo code AU1,
AU1.
AU1. That's what I said, Cole. AU1. You get two months for $1, I think. So go check out Auburn Live on 3. Again, if you're in Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, need a realtor, I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. Give her a call. Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. She is a 5-star realtor. And tell her we sent you. All right, that's going to do it, folks. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll see you back Sunday night for the Auburn Live call-in show. For Cole, for Alan Head, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of that left lane.